Welcome to your deep dive. Today we're cracking open Rich Dad, Poor Dad
Oh, yeah.
to explore financial literacy, wealth building, and what it really takes to become rich.
Right.
We've got a stack of chapters you've chosen,
Yeah.
and we're going to pull out the juiciest bits,
Okay.
those aha moments
Ah,
that can shift your perspective on money.
I love it.
Get ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ta-da.
It's interesting how this book,
Yeah.
while it's about money,
Mm-hmm.
really digs into mindset.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at the practical stuff,
Right.
but also the historical
Okay.
and even psychological angles of building wealth.
Interesting.
It's about rewiring your thinking.
I like it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And speaking of rewiring,
Yeah.
let's jump right into
Yeah.
one of the book's most iconic lines.
Okay.
The rich don't work for money.
Mm.
Well,
Mm.
obviously everyone works in some way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what's the deeper meaning here?
Well, Kiyosaki's highlighting
Yeah.
a difference in how people approach work. Think of it this way. The poor and middle class often exchange their time directly for money.
Right.
A job, a paycheck, that's the cycle.
Yeah.
The rich, on the other hand,
Okay.
focus on building systems where their money is the one
Got it.
doing the heavy lifting.
So it's not about not working.
Right.
It's about what your work is producing.
Exactly.
And that reminds me
Yeah.
of the story in the book
Oh, yeah.
about those 9-year-old boys collecting toothpaste tubes.
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
They were hustling, but they were stuck.
They were, right?
Yeah.
And that frustration is key.
Yeah.
They were working for free,
Yeah.
feeling that classic job trap.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the rich dad steps in
Yeah.
and shows them that the real learning
Right.
comes from figuring out how to make the money work,
Got it.
not just themselves.
Like they had to hit that wall to be open
yeah.
to a new way of thinking.
Yeah.
And that's where those two powerful emotions come in, of
I mean,
fear and desire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Fear of not having enough desire for instant gratification.
Yeah,
These drive so many of our financial decisions.
absolutely.
Kiyosaki argues that those emotions keep people stuck
Yeah.
in the cycle of trading time for money
Mhm.
instead of building something bigger.
So how do we break free?
Yeah, good question.
The book talks about using your mind, your financial intelligence,
Right.
to get ahead.
Yeah.
What does that look like practically?
It starts by shifting your focus.
Okay.
Instead of trying to climb the corporate ladder
Right.
and just earn a bigger paycheck,
Yeah.
the rich dad encourages you
Right.
to start thinking about acquiring assets,
Okay.
things that put money in your pocket,
Got it.
not drain it away.
And this brings us to the next big idea. Assets versus liabilities.
All right.
It sounds simple,
Right.
but the book really challenges
Yeah.
the traditional definition of an asset,
Oh, for sure.
especially when it comes to that classic symbol of success,
Yeah.
the house.
That's right. We're told that owning a home is the financial goal.
Exactly.
But Rich Dad, Poor Dad flips the script and says,
Uh-huh.
hold on,
Okay.
let's look at the cash flow.
Okay.
If your house is bleeding money every month with
Mm.
mortgage payments,
Mm-hmm.
taxes, and endless repairs,
Mm.
it's actually acting like a liability.
So it's not about what you own,
Right.
but what that ownership is doing to your bottom line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the wealthy think differently.
Okay.
They focus on investments that generate positive cash flow.
Like what?
Stocks, rental properties, businesses,
Wow.
things that add to their income,
Right.
not drain it.
Mm-hmm.
Kiyosaki even quotes Buckminster Fuller,
Really?
who defines wealth as how many days could you survive
Oh, wow.
if you stopped working today?
Okay.
It's about financial sustainability,
Got it.
not just a snapshot of your net worth.
That's a powerful way to reframe how we think about wealth.
It is, yeah.
So we need a mindset shift.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as Kiyosaki puts it,
Okay.
we've got to mind your own business.
Right, right.
But what does that actually mean in this context?
It's all about building that asset column we
Mhm.
talked about.
Yeah.
Actively working to create a system
Okay.
where your money generates more money,
Got it.
with or without you clocking in.
Okay.
And this doesn't always mean
Right.
starting a traditional company.
So even small steps,
Yes.
like starting an investment portfolio
Mm-hmm.
or creating something you can license,
Yeah.
like an online course,
Absolutely.
could fall under minding your own business.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
It's about moving beyond just earning a paycheck from your job
Yeah.
and being proactive about how your money is working for you.
I like it.
And that's where financial literacy comes in.
You've got to understand the game to play it, right?
You do.
But this is where the book gets a little,
Uh-oh.
shall we say,
Go ahead.
controversial.
Yeah.
especially when Kiyosaki tackles taxes and the power of corporations.
He definitely challenges conventional thinking there.
Yeah, it does.
He argues that the Robin Hood mentality of taxing the rich to help the poor often backfires,
Right.
actually hitting the middle class harder.
Yeah.
It's a bold statement.
It is, yeah. And he points to the way corporations are structured,
Right.
how they can legally minimize taxes in a way that individuals can't.
Right.
Okay.
His argument is that understanding how corporations work
Yeah.
and how they're taxed
Okay.
is crucial for anyone serious about building wealth.
I see.
It's not about dodging taxes.
Got it.
It's about using the system legally to your advantage.
Okay, so we're starting to see that financial intelligence is about more than just budgeting and saving.
For sure.
It's about understanding the bigger picture,
Right.
the historical and legal context of how money works.
Exactly. Kiyosaki breaks down financial intelligence
Okay.
into 4 key areas.
Right.
Accounting,
Yeah.
investing,
Okay.
understanding markets,
Got it.
and the law.
These are skills that most people aren't taught in school,
Exactly.
which puts them at a disadvantage from the start.
Yeah.
It's like we're given a car without knowing how the engine works. We might be able to drive it,
Yeah.
but we're not really in control.
Right. Right.
But before we dive into the specifics of those 4 areas,
Okay.
let's talk about the hurdles we all face.
Okay.
Fear, cynicism, laziness.
Ah, yes.
Right.
The inner critics.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki doesn't sugarcoat it.
Right.
He's very upfront about how these inner obstacles can sabotage even the best financial plans.
That's true.
Let's unpack those next.
I'm ready to face those mental monsters.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Welcome back. So we're about to delve into the mental game of wealth building.
Right.
Those internal obstacles that can trip us up.
Yeah.
And Kiyosaki doesn't hold back.
No, he doesn't.
He really gets into the fear factor.
Oh, I'm all for
Yeah.
facing those financial fears head on.
Yeah.
It feels like such a taboo topic.
It is.
But it's so relatable.
It is. Yeah.
That feeling of not being good enough, not knowing enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kiyosaki uses this analogy of a donkey chasing a carrot.
Oh, okay.
The donkey keeps working,
Okay.
always striving,
Yeah.
but never quite reaching that carrot of financial security.
Yeah.
He argues that fear and desire can trap us in that cycle.
Oh, I totally get that. It's
Yeah.
like you're on a treadmill,
Yeah.
running hard,
Mhm.
but not really getting anywhere.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where financial literacy comes in.
Okay.
The more you understand, the less space there is for that paralyzing fear.
Okay.
Kiyosaki talks about confronting your fear head on, figuring out where it's coming from,
Yeah.
and developing strategies to manage it.
Right.
He even says,
Okay.
sometimes you just have to jump out the window
Oh, wow.
and build your wings on the way down.
That's a bit terrifying,
It is, yeah.
but also inspiring.
But inspiring, yeah.
It's like that feeling of,
Yeah.
okay, I've got to do this,
Right.
even if it's scary.
Right. Exactly.
And he also talks about learning from those moments when
Yeah.
you do jump out the window
Yeah.
and things don't go as planned, right?
Right.
Not seeing it as failure,
Yeah.
but as feedback.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He tells the story of John D. Rockefeller,
Oh, okay.
who said, I always try to turn every disaster into an opportunity.
Okay.
Kiyosaki believes that every mistake,
Yeah.
every setback
Right.
is a chance to learn, adapt,
Right.
and ultimately come back stronger.
So it's about reframing how we think about failure.
It is.
Instead of this big, scary thing,
Yeah.
it becomes part of the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where you've got to watch out for
Right.
the Chicken Little syndrome.
All right.
Kiyosaki talks about how cynicism, those voices telling you it can't be done
Right.
or it's too risky,
Yeah.
can really hold you back.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I've definitely had moments where I let those negative voices
Yeah.
get too loud.
Yeah.
It's like they suck all the energy out of your dreams.
They do. Kiyosaki encourages you to question those voices, both internal and external.
Right.
Are those assumptions based on fact or just fear?
Okay.
He emphasizes the importance of being discerning
Right.
about the information you consume and
Yeah.
people you surround yourself with.
So it's about curating your own financial ecosystem in a way.
It is.
Being mindful of the influences that shape your thinking.
Right. And that includes being honest with yourself about those sneaky forms of laziness.
Okay.
Not the sitting on the couch, kind
Right.
of, but what Kiyosaki calls laziness by staying busy.
Oh, I see.
filling your life with activity
Yeah.
to avoid facing your financial realities.
Oh, I feel that.
Right?
It's easier to just stay
Yeah.
in that comfortable routine
Yeah.
than to actually confront
Mm-hmm.
what needs to change.
And Kiyosaki suggests a surprising cure
So,
for this kind of laziness.
so,
A little bit of greed.
oh, interesting.
Not in a negative sense,
Okay.
but in terms of tapping into your deepest desires.
Right.
What do you really want?
Yeah.
What would your life look like
Okay.
if you were financially free?
It's about finding your why,
Yes.
that driving force that pushes you past the comfort zone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once you have that clear vision,
Okay.
you've got to look at your habits.
Right.
Are you paying yourself last? Constantly feeling like you're playing catch-up.
Right.
Kiyosaki argues that this reinforces a scarcity mindset.
So it's like you're telling the universe,
It is.
I don't have enough.
Yeah.
And it responds accordingly.
Exactly.
Instead, we need to flip the script
Yes.
and act as if we're already abundant.
Exactly. Even small shifts.
That's
Like setting aside a portion of your income
Yeah.
for yourself first
Right.
can have a big impact on your mindset.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
So we're starting to tackle
Yeah.
those internal obstacles.
Right.
Now, how do we go from defense to offense?
Good question.
How do we actually find and create opportunities?
Well, one of my favorite parts of the book is where Kiyosaki encourages us to become creators of investments,
Right.
not just passive buyers.
Yeah.
It's about being proactive
Okay.
and spotting those hidden gems
Right.
that others might miss.
Let's talk strategy.
Yes. He uses the phrase,
Okay.
see with your mind what others miss with their eyes.
Oh, I like that.
It's about thinking outside the box,
Yeah.
challenging conventional wisdom, and being open to unconventional approaches.
Right.
He gives that great example of his friend
Yeah.
who bought a rundown house
Oh, yeah.
with 4 extra empty lots.
Oh, yeah. That was genius.
Yeah,
He saw the potential that everyone else overlooked.
right. He did.
And I love how he turned it into a win-win,
He did.
not just for himself,
Yeah.
but for the seller as well.
Right. He used his financial intelligence
Uh-huh.
to analyze the situation,
Okay.
spot the hidden value,
Yeah.
and structure a deal
Right.
that benefited everyone involved.
That's a great example
It is.
of how creative thinking can unlock opportunities.
For sure.
And that brings up another key point.
Okay.
The importance of raising capital
Yes.
without relying solely on banks.
Kiyosaki emphasizes that this is a crucial skill.
Okay.
For anyone who wants to build a substantial asset column, he encourages you to develop creative financing strategies,
Okay.
like partnering with other investors or leveraging existing assets.
He talks about tying up a property with a contract
Right.
and then finding the capital needed
That's-
to close the deal.
Yes.
It's about being resourceful
Mm-hmm.
and having the confidence to make things happen.
Exactly. And it's not just about doing it all on your own.
Right.
He's a big believer
Good.
in assembling a team of smart people.
Oh, like who?
Lawyers, accountants, real estate agents,
Right.
financial advisors,
Okay.
people who bring expertise to the table.
It's about recognizing that you don't have to be an expert
Yeah.
in everything.
Right.
You can leverage the knowledge of others
Good
to make
point.
smarter decisions.
Yeah.
But that can feel overwhelming,
It can.
especially when you're starting out.
Yeah.
How do you know who to trust?
Kiyosaki stresses the importance
Yeah.
of doing your due diligence,
Okay.
vetting potential advisors,
Right.
and making sure their values align with yours.
Got it.
He also suggests looking for what he calls Indian givers.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Indian givers?
Yeah.
That sounds
Yeah.
problematic.
He's actually using the term
Okay.
in a positive way,
Yeah.
referring to the concept of
Gotcha.
structuring deals where you get your initial investment back
I see.
quickly.
Okay.
It's about minimizing risk
Right.
and creating a win-win scenario.
Okay.
He uses the example of buying a condo,
Mm-hmm.
renting it out,
Right.
and recouping his investment
Right.
within a few years.
Yeah.
He then owns an income-generating asset
Right.
that essentially cost him nothing.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
All right.
Like the asset is paying for itself.
Exactly.
So we're finding and creating opportunities,
Yeah.
building our team of experts.
Yeah.
But there's one piece missing, right?
What's that?
Mentorship.
Oh, yeah.
Learning from those who have already walked the path.
Right.
Kiyosaki is a big believer
Yeah.
in the power of mentors
Yeah.
and financial heroes.
He encourages you to Find people who have achieved the level of success you aspire to and study their strategies and mindsets.
Right.
He talks about learning from financial giants like Donald Trump and Warren Buffett.
He does, yeah.
Not just admiring them from afar,
Right.
but actively seeking out their wisdom.
Exactly.
He suggests reading their books,
Yeah.
attending their seminars, and even analyzing their investment decisions.
Yeah.
It's about extracting valuable lessons from those who have already walked the path.
Absolutely.
So it's like having a roadmap,
yeah.
but also a guide who can point out the hidden pitfalls and shortcuts along the way.
Exactly.
Right?
Now, there's one final piece that might seem a bit counterintuitive, especially when we're talking about building wealth.
Okay.
The power of giving back.
Yes.
This is where Kiyosaki brings in a more spiritual element.
He does.
To the financial conversation.
Right.
It's not just about accumulating.
Right.
It's about circulating.
He argues that giving creates a flow of abundance in your life.
Okay.
It's about recognizing that wealth is not a finite resource.
Right.
And that by contributing to others, you actually create more wealth for yourself and the world around you.
He talks about tithing, giving a portion of your income to a cause you believe in. As a way to cultivate a mindset of prosperity.
It's about shifting from that scarcity mindset to a belief in abundance.
Okay.
Recognizing that the more you give, the more you receive.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
We have.
Overcoming internal obstacles.
Yeah.
Finding and creating opportunities. Building our team.
Yeah.
Learning from those who have gone before us.
Right.
And embracing the power of giving.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
But it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. But before we move to the final part of our dive, I want to pause and ask you, the listener, a question.
Okay.
What's resonating with you most so far?
What specific actions can you take, based on what we've discussed, to start building your own path to financial freedom?
Think about that for a moment, and we'll be back shortly to wrap up our exploration of Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Sounds good.
Welcome back for the final leg of our Rich Dad, Poor Dad deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, from assets and liabilities to the power of mindset, and even that surprising concept of Indian givers. But what does it all mean for you? How do you actually take these ideas and make them work in your own life?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The book gives us a framework, but the real magic happens when you start applying it to your own unique situation. It's like, we've been given all the ingredients for a delicious cake, but now we have to bake it ourselves.
I love that analogy. And speaking of recipes, one of the key takeaways for me is that there's no one-size-fits-all approach to financial freedom. What works for one person might not work for another.
Right. It's about finding what resonates with you and adapting the principles to fit your goals and values.
Okay.
But there are some universal truths in the book that apply to everyone, regardless of their starting point.
Absolutely. Like that fundamental shift from thinking like an employee to thinking like an owner.
It is a big one.
It's about taking control of your finances and becoming an active participant in the wealth-building process.
Yes. And financial literacy is the key to unlocking that power. Kiyosaki breaks it down into those 4 key areas we touched on earlier. Accounting, investing, understanding markets, and the law. He argues that these are the essential tools for navigating the complex world of money.
But it's not enough to just have the tools, right?
Right. You got to use them.
You got to know how to use them effectively.
You do. It's about taking action, putting what you've learned into practice.
Right.
Even if it's just small steps at first.
Right.
Remember those boys collecting toothpaste tubes?
Yeah.
They didn't start with $1 million business plan.
Right.
They started with a problem, a spark of curiosity, and a willingness to experiment.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
It's about being willing to get your hands dirty, make mistakes, and learn as you go. And that's where those inner obstacles can really trip us up. Fear, cynicism, laziness, those negative voices telling us we're not good enough or it's too risky.
Right. Those inner critics can be loud. But Rich Dad, Poor Dad provides strategies for dealing with them. It's about confronting those fears head on, challenging those limiting beliefs, and developing the discipline and motivation to keep moving forward. Remember, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process.
Okay, so how do we shift from just surviving to thriving?
Well,
the book talks a lot about finding and creating opportunities.
Right.
But that can feel daunting. especially in today's world. Where do we even start?
Well, Kiyosaki encourages us to develop that see with your mind vision, look around you,
Yeah.
notice the problems people are facing, and ask yourself,
Yeah.
how can I solve this? Or what's the opportunity here?
Right.
That rundown house with the extra lots.
Yeah.
Most people saw a problem,
Right.
but Kiyosaki's friends saw potential.
It's about thinking creatively,
Yeah.
spotting those hidden gems that others might miss, and it's about being resourceful, like we talked about with raising capital.
Yeah.
Not waiting for someone to hand you an opportunity,
Right.
but figuring how to create your own.
Exactly. And that's where having a strong team comes in. Lawyers, accountants, mentors, financial advisors,
Right.
surrounding yourself with people who have expertise in areas where you might be lacking. It's about leveraging their knowledge and experience to make smarter decisions.
And being willing to pay for good advice.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Kiyosaki's very upfront about that.
He definitely is. He says, if you think professionals are expensive, try hiring an amateur. It's an investment in your future success.
Okay, so we're thinking like owners, building our financial intelligence, tackling those inner obstacles, creating opportunities,
Right.
assembling our dream team.
Yes.
Is that everything? What about that final piece?
Okay.
The giving back part. That felt really important.
Yeah.
But how does it fit into the bigger picture of building wealth?
It's about shifting your mindset from scarcity to abundance. When you give freely, whether it's time, money, or knowledge, you're actually creating a flow of positive energy that comes back to you in unexpected ways. It's not about expecting something in return. It's about cultivating a mindset of generosity and abundance.
It's like you're planting seeds.
It is.
And those seeds grow into something much bigger than you ever imagined.
That's a great way to put it.
So as we wrap up our Rich Dad, Poor Dad deep dive, what's the one thing you hope our listener takes away from this conversation?
I hope they feel empowered to take control of their financial destiny, to realize that financial freedom is not just a dream. It's a possibility within everyone's reach. It starts with a shift in mindset, a commitment to lifelong learning, and the courage to take action.
Beautifully said. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. Start small, stay consistent, and never be afraid to ask for help along the way.
That's right. The power to create a life of abundance and purpose is within you. Believe in yourself, take action, and enjoy the ride.
That's it for our deep dive into Rich Dad, Poor Dad. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep learning.